Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Club at 22, a Rangers podcast, where we are live this evening on YouTube. I nearly forgot what we were live on there. Yes, we're live on YouTube, the show that brings you outros and intros and bloopers from all over the place. We are here to discuss a very, very busy week in the world of Rangers. An awful lot to get through the night. But before we get into all the nitty-gritty of it, introduce the two boys that are along with me this evening. First up, Ali Pearson. How are you? Go over your wee intro slip up.
Nobody even noticed, apart from Carney, nobody noticed it. So, anyway, but no, the weekend, I was going to say the weekend, I'm working tomorrow, but Rangers on Sunday. I didn't think we'd have much to talk about this week, Scotia. I thought the Hibs game coming up, but I was very much wrong.
No, you were indeed. And Carney, you return after a wee absence on Tuesday evening. How are things with you?
Yes, I'm all good, mate. Thank you, gentlemen, for holding the fort in my absence. I was away for work and I wasn't back in time, so I couldn't come on. But when I got in and sat down, I thought, I don't know what time it was. Time just go live about 7:30. Must have been about 8:15 or something. I fired it back to the start at 8:15. I just seen the outro and I was like, did they go live at 6:30 or 7:30? And then Ali like, hello everyone. I was like, all right, very good. It wasn't as if they were labelled intro and outro, Ali. It wasn't very difficult to get right, but I will forgive you, mate, because you did hold the fort. So yes, hello everybody in the chat. Good to see everybody, and yeah, we've got quite a bit to get into, gentlemen.
Yeah, we do, but that for the Tuesday evening there, that's what you get when you leave the B team guys to their own devices. this is the quality content that we bring you, get everyone.
Yes.
So as we've kind of alluded to, very busy, and I think we'll start off first of all. How can we not? With a couple of bits of media releases that we've seen through the week from the incoming CEO James Bisgrove. Firstly, he had an interview that was released on the Wednesday past there. On RTV, and that was available to view on YouTube as well if you're not subscribed up to RTV. And then he was also, interestingly, wheeled out at the press conference today along with Michael Beale. So yeah, as I say, there's an awful lot to take in from both of these interviews. They were both fairly lengthy, and they could probably fill two podcasts, let alone an hour, where we've got to get another bit of pieces in news in as well. So we'll probably just start with the interview that was released on Wednesday evening. Just skim over a couple of kind of points. You know, Bisgrove first came in 4 years ago now, and he's feeling really positive with the new role. He says he did talk about having a vision, a clear strategy up until 2025, I think it was. He said so. Good to see some short-term, definite aims for us. Talked about a 9-point plan. Didn't go through the detail of the 9-point plan, but he did raise a few. One of them being sort of financial sustainability, infrastructure improvements, fan engagement, things like that. Focusing on the on and off pitch side of things. Interestingly, we'll probably go into this in more detail when the lads have their say, but like 4 sort of key roles that we're looking to fill this summer in terms of directors for the Sporting Director Academy, financial and commercial. Talked about, like the fan engagement, that quarterly forum that we've kind of talked about slightly in the past. He also spoke about the importance of the kind of the trimative, got that wrong, triumvirate. Not going to say it. The importance of the relationship that him, Bisgrove, Beale and Bennett's all going to have. So Ali, come at you first. What were your thoughts on that interview that was released on Wednesday?
I think comes across very well, Bisgrove. I thought he has since he's been at Rangers. 4 years, I think he said he's been at Rangers now. He's been there obviously in the sort of commercial area in terms of bringing revenue in that way. I think he's done well. I think he's quite forward thinking. He's saying everything that we've been asking for years, safe standing, etc., going umpteen things. So it's he said all the right things in the interview, Scotia, but it's let's see going forward if it happens. I like that he's set up, like you say, the quarterly engagement with fans at Edmondson House. I think that's good. He's spoken to NASA, ORSA, he's spoken to the Union Bears already, apparently. So we cry out about fan engagement and how the previous board wouldn't really speak to us as fans, and he looks like he wants to engage with us and ask what we want as fans, which is brilliant going forward as Rangers fans, having an input in the club. So yeah, I thought he spoke really well, Scotia. I just think he can tell he's an intelligent guy, he's forward thinking, and yes, I think he's a breath of fresh air for our football club.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Anytime I hear Bisgrove come on and speak, like you say, he does speak really well. Yeah, and I was really enthused by the comments that it was making. I suppose the proof is going to be in the pudding. It's all well and good saying these things at the moment, but he needs to go out and deliver it. And if he does, then I think we've got every right to be very optimistic over the few years. There's a couple of points there, Ali, that you raised that we'll maybe speak about the safe standing one when we move on to the press conference they had, because that tied in with one of the questions that he asked there. But Carney, I'll just come to you for your thoughts on that interview on Wednesday.
Very good, very impressed with the way that he speaks. Just quickly before we move on, I've noticed on YouTube that it says Racy has gifted one club at 22 the Rangers podcast membership. I don't really know what that means, but thank you very much, mate. I don't know if that means you've gifted it to someone. If you have, that's class. I didn't know you could do that. But whatever you've done, mate, I'd really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, but I like the way that he talks, mate. I do. You can tell he's been in this kind of public speaking role before, because he's very wise with his words, and for once I'm not going to be sitting going, oh well, we'll wait and see what happens. I'm going to take him for his word and what he's saying. I think the change of direction of the way the club needs to go is becoming more clear to see, and what him and Bennett expect the club to be, where we expect to be, and the bit I took away from it most is he's obviously very keen on fan engagement. That's an easy thing. That is an easy thing to say, because that's something that's been needing fixed for I don't know how long now, a long time. But it was more, we're going to take more probably calculated risks and things in terms of the way that they run the business. And I'm not meaning being ridiculously stupid about going out and spending a fortune on whoever or whatever, but the fact that, as you say, we'll come on to it, but the safe standings back on the table, they're looking at different ways to communicate with the fans in order to take the club forward. They're looking to speak to fans from abroad. All these kind of things I'm very much looking forward to. I think he fits the bill quite nicely, and everything that he was talking about made me think, I've got confidence in you being able to take this club forward. Lorraine, thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate that. That's very, very kind of you. Thank you so much. So Scotia, all in all, I'm very happy with I'm optimistic about the way that Bisgrove is talking.
Yeah, firstly, thanks again, Lorraine, for the donation there. Much appreciated, as Carney says. Yeah, Carney, like you said, you were mentioning there, but sort of was speaking with like fans from like around the world, which is important, because we can see in the comments here that, people telling us where they're from, where they're watching it. And I think that was pretty encouraging. Obviously, we're all sat here very close to Glasgow, so we're getting to the games every other week and whatnot. But I think it was important that it came out and kind of reiterated the sort of commitment to keep our fans around the world, kind of keep them in the loop, make sure that they're not getting put to the wayside or anything like that. And they did say on that respect as well that supporters being integral, that they're going to set up like a fan advisory board. Didn't go into too much detail of what that was like, but to me, Carney, that sounds like a good idea.
Very much so, yeah, a very good idea. I think it's much needed, something like that. I know it's not always going to be as simple as basically chapping the chairman's door and having a conversation with him as a fan, but there should be something in place that takes fans' concerns to him. Not concerns, just thoughts, opinions, things that everybody that puts their money into Rangers, fans that all over the world all have an equal right, because it's all something that we love unequivocally. It's one of those things that will never change in you. So we all have a right to our opinion on how we see the club going forward. I'm keen on the whole fan engagement thing. I intend to attend some of the stuff that's going to be going on. All things permitting, for that I'm available for them. Then I do intend to go, because I'm interested to see what it's like. So no, I think it is very, very important to me. It's a very important thing that Bisgrove is doing. And I had another thought, and I've took a day off, mate, and I've lost my touch. I had another thought and it's completely gone out my head. So yes, it's a good thing, Scotia.
I know. I'll come back to you because you mentioned that the I think the first fan engagement, that quarterly CEO fan forum, is it June sometime? I can't remember the exact date, but sometime in June, I believe. I know I can't make it because it kind of clashes with working or anything. But Ali, is that something that you'd maybe look to attend if you're one of the lucky ones that get selected in those ballots that Rangers tend to do?
You need to be a gold member in my jersey to go to that, Scotia.
No, do you?
I'm winding you up. No, you
that would be right. You nearly had me there. You nearly had me.
No, yeah, I'd like to go to one of them. Yeah, I'd be up for going to one of them and see what it's about. Because I think it's a good thing to do. It's using Edmondson House as well, which has been used well so far. So yeah, I'd definitely be up for going for it. I was going to say to you, Scotia, completely off track here, but we forgot to do something Tuesday night. And I just remembered there, Willie came and met us at the Viceroy on Saturday after the Old Firm. He came specifically just to meet us. So I said I gave him a shout out and I forgot to do it on Tuesday, Willie. I remember now, so I will give you a shout out now. And your 92-year-old dad who listens to us, and his favourite is, guess who?
Scotia, obviously.
Right,
yeah,
must be right.
Obviously.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I did actually click when we finished recording on Tuesday night that you'd forgot to mention that.
Yeah.
But we got there and we get there in the end. Like I say, the B team, you can't expect us to do very much. Before we go on to his press conference, because there is a few things that kind of overlap with his interview in the press conference, but one of the things that I was kind of pleased to hear was his kind of commitment that the 4 kind of director roles that were going to get filled fairly imminently, by the way he was speaking on that interview. And for me, most importantly, first of all, Ali, the sporting director. I think we've spoken about, should we have a sporting director? Should we not? I've always been the opinion that to be a modern club, to go forward in this day and age, you probably do. So it was good to see that. And then also the academy director, because obviously Craig Mulholland's recently just left, and then the financial and commercial and market directors. But what were your thoughts and his comments on that?
Yeah, I agree. I think we probably should have a sporting director. It takes pressure off of Beale and lets him run the team, if you want to say, coach the team. So yeah, I thought he would do that anyway. The guy for Dundee, Scotia, I'm trying to think his name. I think he's been linked with being the head of the youth development.
Stephen Wright, the boy that used to play with us in the 90s.
Yeah, I knew he was an ex-Rangers player. Yeah, I was listening
to Heart and Hand Daily Update just earlier, just about an hour or so ago, and Colin and that rubbish that says Rangers have kind of said that no, they've not been. That was something that I think got brought out on the Dundee Courier, I want to say. But I think Heart and Hand have come out and said that they've been told Rangers have said no. But that's just
if they've said that,
the famous column in the Dundee Courier, is it?
Yeah.
Is that right?
I think that's what it's called. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but no, in terms of his position, Scotia, no, it's good to see that they're going to be filling him, and it'll be interesting to see who they bring in, because I like Bisgrove at the moment, and I'd hope to think he brings in people along the same line as himself, forward thinking, maybe thinks outside the box as well. So I'll be interested. It's an exciting summer coming forward, not just with players coming in, Scotia, but everything to do with Rangers is exciting going forward in the summer. And can we bin this season, just get next season started now?
Yeah,
probably could. Carney, your final thoughts on those director roles, and then we'll move on to the presser with Bisgrove.
Yeah, I think it was important that he made a point of saying the recruitment on and off the field. So he clearly is a man that wants to get things in place as quickly as possible as well. It's going to be a hard task to fill this sporting director role because there's a lot of pressure on him because of the way the previous one went. There's obviously a lot of criticism around Ross Wilson, so this one kind of has to. This one's make or break. I know it's the modern way of a football team running that they would have a sporting director, but I think this one they have to get pretty spot on. It's going to be really interesting to see who they get, and I'm glad the Graham Souness rumours have been put to bed as well, because it was never going to be Graham Souness. I don't know why anybody ever thought it was going to be Graham Souness, but It's a critical role. It really is critical. It'll be interesting to see who we get linked with going forward. I'm sure we'll be linked with everybody. There's going to be all sorts of people that will probably come to the front that we'll be linked to. But no, as I say, nothing about the interview from Bisgrove had any sort of negative impact on me. I thought, you've got your head screwed on your shoulders. I'm interested to see what you're going to do.
Yeah, it's good you mentioned the soonest bit there, because I was just going to skim over it in the press conference bit he said, but it was good that he kind of put it to bed, because these rumours have been rumbling on ever since Souness kind of said in Sky Sports that he had this big announcement on the 22nd, so a few days away, but it's more than likely going to be something to do with his kind of his charity or something like that, I would imagine.
Yeah, what Paul said there, though, what do you guys think of Souness being an ambassador? All for it, literally all for it. Yeah. I think that's a tremendous thing. The guy clearly loves the football club, so no, for me, as an ambassador for Souness, 100%, I'm up for that, 100%.
Yeah, definitely, because, I mean, look at the respect that Souness has got throughout English football as well. You know, the presence that he's got there because he was so successful with Liverpool. You know, he's probably, he's not more well-known down in England than there's in Scotland, but he's one of these players that kind of transcends the border there, where, you know, up here you'll maybe say someone, the running your street sort of person that doesn't really follow football won't know who someone is, a Rangers legend that we would subscribe to, but it would be maybe Souness. They would have heard of Graeme Souness. So I think as an ambassador, yeah, that's a really good shout. And I know Bisgrove, Ali, he did kind of mention that that's potentially something that they'd look at in the future.
Yeah, Graeme Souness, an ambassador, would be brilliant. He talked about, obviously, John Gregg being in amongst the club every day. I think Richard Gough, he's an ambassador with Rangers. Obviously, if you go to hospitality, Scotia, a lot of these guys are in amongst the club doing that. So if Graeme Souness was part of Rangers going forward in that sort of capacity, it'd be a good time, because Graeme Souness had his birthday recently. Was he 70 now, Graeme Souness? I think he's 70.
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
I'm sure he had his birthday or something soon.
Probably around that, yeah.
Yeah, but no, if he could come back in some sort of capacity, Scotia, that'd be, yeah. Because he is a legend, Graeme Souness. Not just at Rangers, but as a footballer overall.
Yeah, no, indeed. So, yeah, we'll go into the rest of kind of some of the stuff in the press. As I said, some of it's kind of a repeat of what was said in the interview. I'm not going to speak about what he was speaking about in terms of resources for transfers this summer and going forward. We'll maybe park that until Club Deck Corner next Tuesday, because, as I say, there's an awful lot to get through and we could be here to 9 o'clock speaking to you if we include that in it. So we'll park that. But we'll come to the safe standing, Carney, that he mentioned. That question was asked of him, and will we likely see safe standing? And he came out and kind of said that, yeah, we'll look into it in maybe the summer of 24 or 25 before we really see anything concrete happening in terms of it definitely being announced and going forward. That'll tie into something we'll discuss in 5 or so minutes as well. But he did say that in the next 6 months there'll be a feasibility study and, like, again, support a group liaison. So it's good to see, like Ali said, that this is back on the table.
Yeah, it's good that doors that were previously closed are now, I wouldn't say open, but they're probably slightly ajar, and it gives a new avenue to open discussions about ideas that have been floating about for a while that were recently put to bed. For me, I mean, I don't ever intend to move away from my seat. So honestly, the standing bit, I can't have too much of an opinion on, because I doubt I will ever go to it. I doubt I'll ever sit in that stand in that area, whatever way you want to look at it. However, there's so many people that call for it, and I'm all for it. Anything to aid the atmosphere within Ibrox, I think, is only a good thing. I saw somebody mention earlier on as well, would it increase capacity? I'm pretty sure it will increase capacity, because the seats are much skinnier from what you see on, like, just a normal seat, if you like just a seat that we would be sitting on, because it's the fold away seats, like completely flat. I think they're actually skinnier. So I don't know how much more it would lead to, a couple of hundred, maybe something like that. But again, it's still a good thing to happen. The only stumbling block I see, mate, is where they're going to put it, and whether you're going to be able to convince fans to move from a certain area. They can't do it in the Broomloan. It won't be possible due to the way that where we sit away fans, and different allocations, different percentage of your attendance, of your capacity has to be given to fans for different competitions. So the Broomloan, it won't be there. So I think the one rumoured was a Copeland front, but there's going to be guys that have sat in the Copeland front their whole lives, and they'll not want to move anywhere. So it's a stumbling one, but I think it's very important that the option is put on the table and it's discussed, and we'll see if it can happen. I do believe if the club can make it happen now, from what Bisgrove is saying, I believe if it can happen, they will make it happen, which is a good thing. As I say, I'm definitely all for it. I've got nothing against it. It's not something that I would choose to do, because obviously I sit with my dad, and again, I'm not taking my dad to a standing section. I don't think he would particularly enjoy that. He's jumping about like a maddie when he was a youngster. He likes to sit and enjoy his football now. So yeah, but I think it's a positive sign, mate. I think it's a positive move. It will take time, obviously, because of what you're going to come on and speak about, mate.
Yeah, and Ali, your thoughts on this, if done just before you do though. I'm like Carney. I think it would be a really good thing. Obviously, like Carney says, where we are up in the club deck, it's very occasionally that any time that it's people are standing for the full game. It's maybe only happened once, I think. The time that since I've had my season ticket up there, it doesn't really happen up there. So it is going to be something that will happen down the sort of lower sections of the Govan, the Brimlin, or the Copeland. But what are your opinions on it?
Yeah, it's good. It's good that he's brought it up, because we've kind of danced around it for the last couple of years, and it's been mentioned, but nothing's really happened about it. So I mean, it's for the Union Bears, really, isn't it? It's for their group, and they want to grow their group as well. Obviously, they provide the atmosphere in Ibrox Union Bears, so it's for them. But Bisgrove's mentioned it again today, so yeah, it's good. As Carney says, it probably have to be the Copeland front looking at it, which could upset people that have been there for donkeys in the same seat and having to move them. So there will have to be compromise, but it's it's another step forward, Scotia, and something that we've talked about for years, but nothing's been done about it. So it's good that Bisgrove brought it up, and he intends to see where it takes us with that.
Yeah. No, indeed. So we'll see where that we go with that. And one last thing from that presser, and it was pissing me off when the press, the printed press, as it were, kept insistently trying to speak about the Old Firm allocation, and it was boring the arse off me. But I quite liked that Bisgrove came out and said that no, for next season it'll be the 700 or 800, and then the 8,000. It was like, it's unlikely to happen soon, which I like to hear. But yeah, I thought we'd mention that. I don't know if you guys have got any opinions on it, and if you were like me and it kind of annoyed you.
What's he meant to come out and say? Is he going to go, we're going to give him that full room loan back? We just sold 45,000 season tickets, which I'd assume the ones in the Broom loan come with the Old Firms. I know years ago they didn't. The option was it didn't come with the Old Firm and they'd be moved. So, of course, they're not going to get the full Broom loan back. Bisgrove has said what you said, Scotia. He's left the corner available. They've not sold season tickets there. Obviously, I don't think they could anyway, because of away fans coming regardless, whoever it is. So he's left it open for, if Celtic want to take up their allocation, it is there for next season. But the full Broom loan, as he said, Scotia in his presser, ain't coming. They're looking for a wee line and they didn't get it. Yeah, there's another line they got from him, but I don't know if you'll come on to that.
What one? I don't even know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'll go on, Ali. What was the line?
What was the line? I'm curious.
About being the most successful dominant club in Scotland, and he wants to be that next season.
I know that is truth.
He got a wee line.
Yeah, I know that is truth though, so it didn't really take me by surprise or anything.
It's truth. It's truth.
That's what it is.
It gives them a wee line, and it noises up across the city.
Yes, so he should. I'm all for that. Of course he should. That's it. Of course he should. He's not going to come out and go, well, we might beat Celtic next year. Let's just wait and see, shall we? No, in terms of the allocation thing, look, people are going to debate about it forever. Should they get the full stand back? The reality of the situation is it's not going to happen, because Rangers would rather sell season tickets. And that alone, to me, I'm like, well, I get that. I completely understand that. It makes more financial sense for the club to sell the more season tickets. It really does. And I'm just worried now that it's going to be tit for tat again next season, where you're not going to get fans at the away games, which I think is away old firm fans even. You're not going to get them in the stadium at at Parkhead or at Ibrox, it's not right. It's really not right, and I don't like that. I think it takes an element away of the game itself. I know for sure I would have loved if there was 800 of them sitting in the corner when we won 3-0 the other day. It would have made that a wee bit more sweeter. It would have made it a wee bit more sweeter, but yeah, that's my only worry. My only worry is that it leads to tit for tat again, and we end up with no fans in either stadium, no away fans in either stadium, which I think is a real shame, and it's a real shame for Scottish football because it's the only tie that people outside of Scotland will probably tune in to watch. So, no disrespect, that's just the reality of the situation. So I hope the clubs can reach an agreement where it's 800 each and we take it from there. But I think people constantly going on about wanting the full Broom loan back, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and to be honest, this, like you say, this conversation has kept being had. The next time, whenever they announce the next Old Firm game for the first Old Firm game at Ibrox, or even at Parkhead for that matter, next season, this will rear its head again. So no doubts we'll get into it at some point next season as well. Not moving too far on from Bisgrove and his comments, because this kind of ties in with something that he mentioned in his interview, and it was earlier that day on the Wednesday, Wednesday 17th of May, it was announced that sort of a more long-awaited update on the improvements to the disabled access at Ibrox. And what they had said in the article on the Rangers website was that over the summers of 2023, 2024 and 2025, there'll be work done to improve the spaces for disabled people. And that would entail 270 additional disabled spaces and also an additional 700 seats. So the way that it looks like that's going to happen is that in this summer coming, they are going to undertake some work in the Broomlin and Copeland ends of the stadium, extending the concourses, putting in additional kiosks, and then doing some alterations for the upgrade of the lifts that will be required as well. The following summer, they'll then put in the new platforms for the disabled seats, and they'll also put in some cantilevers that will allow the general access for general access seats to be increased as well, and that's particularly to offset any movements that may need to be had. And then finally, in the 25 season, they'll wrap everything up with additional disabled access to the Govan and Sandy Jardine stands. Carney, this was talked about at the AGM earlier in the season, and it's now good to see that the plans are steaming ahead and that this is going to happen, because I think it's been long overdue that the disabled fans were catered to in a better way than they currently are.
Long overdue, mate, and I like the fact of where they're planning to do the work as well. I think it's not just making an improvement, it's making a huge improvement on their match day experience. I think it's an absolute fantastic move by the club. I like everything about it, mate. I really do. I think it'll even look good as well. I think it's going to just give it a wee kind of freshness almost to the inside of the stadium as well. But no, this is long overdue. The plans look really good. It looks like they've really thought it out, and they've utilised the stadium as much as they possibly can, and I can't see anything other than this being a positive move for the club and for people that require disabled access to the stadium. It's brilliant. It really is brilliant. I hope they manage to pull it off the way that they want to, because I think it's going to be really something pretty special, and it's probably going to provide one of the best views you would get for disabled access probably in Britain. So fantastic. Honestly, I can't applaud the club enough for the plans that they've put in place for this.
Yeah, Ali, I mean, the wee graphics that you see on the article, they do look pretty impressive. I know we've seen more detailed ones during the AGM, but this is very long overdue, and as Carney says, it'll improve the quality of the matchday experience for everyone around Ibrox, I would suggest.
Yeah, because where they sit at the moment, I'd assume their view's not great sitting away down there, pitch level. So to be elevated up to where they're going to be, I mean, that'll be what a difference it'll be for them in terms of viewing a game of football. I think it'll be brilliant for them. It's another step forward in terms of Rangers and what we're doing with Ibrox. So I can't add any more on what Carney said, but no, it's fantastic news for the disabled fans, and well deserved as well. So they'll look forward to it being completed in, was it 2 years' time? You said, Scotia, it'll be fully completed.
The summer of 2025. So for the 25-26 season, it should all be ready.
Yeah, so that's something for them to look forward to. And and there's more stuff happening within iBooks as well. It's one of many things that needs done. So it's a tick box for that one, and we move on to the next thing in terms of the stadium. So no, fantastic news for the disabled fans.
Indeed, yeah, and that'll bring up once all that work's complete, it'll bring up the capacity of the stadium to 51,500. Let's put it that way. Yeah. So we've reached the half-hour mark, and everyone knows what that means.
Caught your
Carney
off
doesn't.
guard there, Scotia.
Carney doesn't. It's time for a word from our sponsors. It's time to mind your manholes with Manscaped. Everyone's aware by now that those nose hairs are a major turn-off. That's why Manscaped upgraded their brand new Weed Whacker 2.0 with improved blades and motor. You can feel the power of nasty nose hair annihilation in the palm of your hands. Save money and attack your nose hair and ear hairs by going to manscaped.com and using the code CLUBAT22 to get 20% off and free shipping. Our friends over at Manscaped are helping you enjoy spring's fresh air by using the Weed Whacker 2.0 in all your facehole hair. Also, the Weed Whacker 2.0 will be in all Manscaped's tool sets, including the Platinum Package 4.0 and the Performance Package 4.0. So no matter what kit you pick, you will receive the new Weed Whacker 2.0 nose and ear trimmer. Let's face it, long nose hair is a major turn-off. Let Manscaped be part of your daily grooming routine, ensuring no hair is ever out of place. It's time to level up your groom game. Save 20% off and free shipping with the code CLUBAT22 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code CLUBAT22 at manscaped.com. From below to up top, get the best in grooming at Manscaped Shopped. Your nose, ears, body, and lads, what will also thank you?
Your boys will thank you, mate. So that's 10 out of 10, mate. You are by far the best at that. You really are. That's good.
See, I'm angling for a job.
Yeah, it was much more enthusiastic than Ali.
You could be the poster boy for Manscaped, Scotia.
You could be. You definitely could be.
You'll hear me in a local radio station one day. But anyway, moving on from Manscaped, on more important and exciting news that came out today, and I know someone that's going to be very, very pleased with this news, and that it was announced today that, as expected, Ryan Jack has signed a new 1-year extension to his deal to keep him around the club. Before I get the reaction of the boy that's grinning below me, Jack kind of came out and said that, it was a no-brainer, and he was delighted now that it's done, as it kind of been in the pipelines for probably a couple of months now. And Beale also came out and said that he was delighted, and it's that Jack's a very, very important member of the squad. So everyone knows who the man that's very pleased with this is. Carney, your thoughts?
Delighted, mate. Yes, I'm absolutely delighted. No, obviously, joking aside, it made my day better. I'm not going to lie. When I seen it, I was like, "You beauty," but it makes sense. It does make sense. I know we've hummed and hawed about his injury and etc. And I'll go on record now and say that he is a good option to have as a rotation player. Ryan Jack isn't going to be able to play the full season. Even Ryan Jack knows that he won't be able to play the full season. We are going to need to have options there. But I think it's a positive move. I do. I think he's a leader within the team. I think he's at the job that he does. I still think he's the best that we currently have when he's fit and doing his role. I don't think there's anybody better than him. And I just think he's a kind of player that kind of fully understands this football club, and it's important to have people like that around. Obviously, the boring stuff, it helps with the Scottish homegrown trained, whatever it's called, it helps with that as well. Which again, I think it just made sense to me to keep Ryan Jack on. I did say previously that I didn't think he should be. I didn't think he should have been able to sign a year's contract, but that was before he signed it, and he's now signed it. So I'm absolutely delighted about that. No, I'm happy that Ryan Jack's staying. I would have him in my team every week if I possibly could. But I don't think it can be underestimated. Maybe the impact that he has within the dressing room as well. He's a guy that gets it, mate. He's Scottish. It makes perfect sense to me going forward. And obviously, I'm a Jackal fanboy, mate. So no, I'm a happy boy, mate. Happy boy.
Yeah, I mean, I was pleased that it was announced as well, because I've seen a few folk in the comments there saying, that when Jack plays, Rangers tend to play better. And he does. He brings out the best in players. I know we spoke about this, Ali, on Tuesday when we were speaking about his performance in the Old Firm game there, coming straight back in just after being out. And on that, after just being out, I think Paul had put up there that he's been fit. He's played 35 games this season. Yeah, and I was having a look at it.
53 would have been incredible if he'd done 53.
Very good. Yeah, no, I was looking at it as well today, and I think out of the Premiership, the domestic Premiership games this season, he's only missed 9 throughout the season, and the majority of them were in that wee patch in October. I think around about October time, where he missed a big patch there because he was out for a kind of longer period. But Ali's only 31-year-old, and as Ali says, he ticks that Scottish homegrown thing, which with a couple of players potentially, 2 that are on that list potentially going out the window, it's something that we potentially need to look at. But I was very pleased because, Ryan Jack's a very important player for us.
Yeah, Beale did mention your wee quote of Scotia, so I must have been listening to you, but he did mention that at the end of it when he was talking about Ryan Jack. He said Ryan Jack's played 80% of the games since Beale's been in.
Yep.
He does make Rangers play better, Ryan Jack. I think players round about him feel more secure when Ryan Jack's there because they know he's there to sweep up, if you know what I mean. Keeps the ball moving. I still think going forward next season we will sign a first team starter to play where Ryan Jack plays, because Ryan Jack is 31. As you say, he's 31, but I still think he'll play a very important role with Rangers next season. He can come in and out of certain games. Doesn't need to play against no disrespect, a Kilmarnock at Ibrox on a Saturday. Doesn't need to play that game. So I expect him to play in the bigger games potentially, but I can see a replacement for Ryan Jack coming in the summer, who he can maybe a younger type player who he can nurture, and he'll be the future going forward for Rangers. But no, delighted because he's a great player for Rangers, and he's probably Rangers' best midfielder. He is Rangers' best midfielder where he plays currently in that position. So, it's a no-brainer, Scotia. I know we mump and moan about his injuries and that, but when he's on that park for Rangers, he gives 100%, and you know he's on that park and he makes us play better. So, yes, I am happy with it too, and I'm sure Ryan, who's not here as well, is happy.
Yeah, no, it's good to see that. And you do mention there, Ali, and we'll come to this, a transfer rumour that they've had, a player that could potentially come in and, not usurp Jack's place, but, take over, like you're saying there, so that Jack's not needing to be relied on. And that's the links that we've had with Jose Cifuentes. There you go, Rob Carmichael, I got it there. I know he made a wee comment on Twitter the other day there. So, yeah, Jose Cifuentes. He's an Ecuadorian that's currently playing out in America for Los Angeles Football Club, he's played there since 2020. I'm going to be honest, I've never seen him play. So the only thing that I know about him now is from what I've heard from other kind of sort of Rangers podcasts, Rangers fans that I trust, and he seems to be this kind of a box-to-box type midfielder that kind of ticks all the boxes that I would be looking for the centre midfielder that we need to come in the summer. Carney, come to you first. What are your thoughts around Cifuentes? And see, because Rob Carmichael said I'd bugger it up, I'm buggering it up all the time. Thank you, Rob. What are your?
I'm not even going to say it, mate. I'm not going to say it. I'm definitely not. I'm the same. I'm not going to lie and sit and pretend I know much about him. Sorry, before we go any further, Robert Robertson, thank you very much for the donation, mate. Really do appreciate that. That's magic. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm not going to pretend that I know loads about the guy because I don't. But what he does do is he fits the. We'll go back to the comments that Bisgrove was making about the 4 pillars. He fits that. He fits a player that's going to be able to come in, develop himself here, get to probably another level of his game while being at the club, and then we move him on for a profit. And that's what we need to be doing. That is exactly what we need to be doing. Everything about him seems to be the mould that we are looking for. I think Beale's quite a fan of having robust, fit, and by fit I mean they will literally run all day for you. He likes the middle of the park to be strong. He likes them to be strong and be willing to do the attacking jobs as much as they're willing to do the defensive work. So he fits the bill in that sense, mate, by all reports. I think it's very important, more so though, that we are looking outside of England, because I was getting to the point where I was thinking, do we only just go to England to look for players? Is there nobody else we could potentially sign? And this one kind of ticks the boxes, and it kind of shows that even without Ross Wilson being there, and it may have been identified while Ross Wilson was here, we'll never know that, but we are looking further afield, and you've seen that with Beale going away to Italy a couple of times. I think he was there. I don't know where else he's been. I've not seen anything else he's posted on social media, and that's usually how people find out where he is, because he'll put a landmark up or something of where he is. But I think it's very important, more so, that we've widened the net, and it isn't just, we're not just looking for UK based players. There has got to be talent out there that is within Rangers' grasp that can come in here and really make an impact, and that will fit the model that we are trying to run to. And obviously by that I mean you develop here, we get you at a bargain price, and not a bargain price, but a decent price, and we move you on for significantly more. So no, an exciting signing, mate. It'd be one of the ones I'd be interested to see as well, going forward. But I say I don't know a great deal about him, but from what I'm hearing, there seems to be a wee bit of noise around him. So I'm optimistic about that one, mate. And that one looks pretty certain. Is that the one Fabrizio Romano said was pretty much done? Yeah. So I mean, when he says things, he tends to know, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, Carney, you mentioned something there, like kind of sort of being not in the cheap. You didn't say that, but you said something along those lines of being at low price. I think transfer market have currently got him valued at 12 million euros. He's contracted with LA up until the end of this year, the 31st of December. Currently, the MLS is currently 10 or so games into the season. So obviously, I don't think LA would be wanting to let go very cheap, because they're currently playing at the moment. Ali had from midfield last season, he had a pretty good return, 7 goals and 6 assists last year throughout the course of that MLS season. What are your thoughts on these rumours? And I'm afraid to ask, but have you ever seen the lad play?
Yep, I watch the MLS every weekend in Sky Sports. I thought you'd be the same, Scotia. You watch all the leagues. I was waiting for your dossier on him to tell us exactly the player, what he's about. No, I've not seen him. I did see he was playing for is it Los Angeles he plays for? I did see he was playing the other night for them. He started for them. I did have a look at their team lineup, and he was starting. He's 5'8". He's quite small, but that doesn't matter. Ticks the boxes, box to box player, as you say. 24 years of age. You've said he was touted at 10, 12 million. I've read that. Nice. Like I say, he ticks the boxes for what we want in terms of a guy you could potentially bring in, get a couple of seasons out of, and move on. I think he says he wants to play in Europe. A lot of these South American boys that go to the MLS, their next jump in Europe. So
I thought you were on the eggheads, mate. Come on, sharpen your game.
So he could be a stepping stone to I was going to say a bigger club, to a bigger league than the Scottish League. So, I think it's good. And you look on social media and that, he's been liking stuff about Rangers and all that. So, Michael Beale coming out today and kind of poo-pooing it.
Yeah.
We're not stupid, Michael, come on, we know. Unless Carney says when Fabrizio, what's his chops, comes out and says it, it's not a done deal, but he doesn't say these things. So it's interesting. It's one of many, Scotia, that in the next couple of weeks I think we'll be signing.
Yeah, and the fact that his agent was also pictured at the Old Firm game there as well, adds fuel to the fire as well when you see that. So I don't know, right? I'll come on to the Beale press conference. We're going to move on to that anyway, speaking about the Hibs game. But keeping with Cifuentes there, I thought Beale kind of shut up shop a wee bit when he kind of said, yeah, not really close. And then he tended to shut down a wee bit there, and it looked like he was trying not to say as much as he's said in the past about transfers. I don't know what your thoughts were, Carney.
Yeah, I thought so as well, mate. When I seen it, I thought exactly the same thing. I think he was almost biting his tongue, trying to make himself not speak, not say much. But I mean, saying that it's not close can mean anything. It really can mean anything. I would imagine there's discussions there, because the rumours are strong. The rumours are very strong. But I did find that he took a wee, almost like a backward step, when he probably wanted to go, yeah, he's from there, I'm just about to go speak to him. he's got the top in his hand, I'm just going to go talk to him. But what he would usually do. But No, I think this one will happen. I do think this one will happen. I don't expect a egg in my face with that one. I think it looks pretty close. But yeah, it was much more reserved from Michael Beale. Graham Souness has been in Glasgow recently. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, so going on with the press conference from Beale when he came out, did mention a squad update that Goldson's had out. Obviously, was looking a wee bit sluggish at the end, towards the end of the game last week. But apart from that, it's as you were from last week. So no one coming back from injury, no one else kind of not been available for selection, apart from two that I'll come to this as well. He did mention that both Rice and Lovelace will be away on international duty with the Scotland and England under 17s respectively. And he also, interestingly, Ali mentioned about that next week we'll be hearing an awful lot more about all these out-of-contract players and whether or not they'll be leaving.
Yeah. I thought they might do it potentially after the St Mirren game when it's all done and dusted. So, yeah, it's interesting to say that after this weekend's games, because we still get Hearts to play on a Wednesday, Scotia, before we go and play St Mirren away. So it's interesting that after this game against Hibs on Sunday, we're going to find out the list of players that are going. I don't think we'll be shocked. I think we all know who's going out of contract players in the summer. I think it's the players, Scotia, that are contracted to Rangers next season. That's the ones I'm more interested that we're looking to move on, because they've alluded to this. Bisgrove's alluded to it. Beale's alluded to it. We will be moving players on in the summer who are contracted to Rangers. So that's the ones I'm more interested in than the guys that their contracts are run out, because let's be honest, we all know who's going. The only one that may get a contract out of all of them is potentially Arfield, but that's possibly it.
Yeah, no, I'd kind of agree with you there, Carney. You any different than that?
No, spot on. Ali's right. The only one that I can see potentially staying out, the ones that are out of contract, would be Arfield. He might get offered a year's contract, because he is a good option to have in terms of rotation as well within the squad. If he plays every week, I think he suffers with fitness as well. But I think he's a great option to have, and he tends to score. That's the thing with Arfield; he just tends to pop up with a goal from time to time, and it could be crucial for us. So he's the only one. I wouldn't be shocked if he left. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't be shocked if he moved on, because he's maybe wanting to get full-time football or a more regular football elsewhere towards the latter stages of his career. But I'm the same. I'm more interested about who's contracted and who's going than who's not, because we all know Hollander's going, McGregor's hanging his boots up, Kent Morelos is going, etc. We all know the ones that are moving on, but it's the ones Ali's spot on. I can't add anything else, and I'm more interested to see who you're putting on the transfer list, like champ manager style. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, and then also came on to, this is a question that I really wanted to discuss in more detail, but as I say, there was so much to talk about that we're not going to. He was asked about his thoughts on the gap between second and third. Beale Kenny talked about it in terms of league reconstruction, because you play each other so often. I've got a few other Kenny theories on why that's been the case this season. But we can leave that for another time. He was also asked about a couple of players that in place at the weekend, Carney, Suter and Cantwell. Suter could be an important player going forward with us, and also Cantwell having that great energy. Talked about them, and also stay with you, Carney, because me and Ali touched on him. I was asked about Tillman also, and they'll have that conversation for another Player of the Year awards this weekend.
Yeah, I think I liked what he said about Suter. I think Suter deserves a chance. I think he's been pretty solid since he came in, and obviously I think Cantwell's just an absolute revelation so far. I think the boy's tremendous. Malik Tillman's an interesting one. I think the injury might kind of put a spanner in the works for him wanting to find somewhere else to go, because is it 12 weeks or something he's out? Is that what he said, 12 weeks?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a significant injury. Do you know what I mean? It's not just a 7 to 10 day anyway. So that could potentially put a spanner in the works for him having different thoughts about him going forward, and it might lead to a better negotiation with Bayern should Rangers decide that they want to keep him. Maybe we'll be able to bring that the rumoured £5 million price tag down a bit. I think that'll all come out in the wash once he is back. I think we'll soon know whether Tillman's staying or leaving. I think Beale will be quite upfront about it due to the noise that's surrounding the situation with Tillman. So, but congratulations to him for winning the Young Player of the Year award.
Young player. Players that voted for it.
Yeah, which is brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant for him. So, yeah, I'm definitely keeping a close eye on that one, mate. What the outcome is of the conversation that he's going to have with Tillman.
Yeah, it was also kind of asked again about the expectations for next season and summer recruitment. One or two potentially getting close, and for next year, a good pre-season is important, and they come back sort of tactically stronger, and with, like you said, with some summer signings. But similar to the Bisgrove stuff, we'll park that and we'll speak about that at another time when we have more time to give it the kind of length of time that it deserves. Just wrap up on the press conference with I think I said recently when Alan McGregor got his 500th game that I don't think I'll see someone get 500 games again. It's if Tav starts, and I fully expect him to, Ali. That'll be his 400th game for Rangers. That's quite a milestone.
Yeah, 400 games. And you think Scotia next season, Tav is probably going to play all our games. If we're in cup competitions in Europe and later stages of Europe, he could easily play 60 games next season. So... yeah. You will rack that up quite quickly, Scotia. So, I was surprised when he said 400, but when you think about it, he's been here for 18 years, Tav. So when you break it down, it's not surprising. But yeah, he could be in that wee club that McGregor's on.
Yeah, and Carney, it was interesting Beale's comments on Tav, that he said that when he came in, that Tav was kind of just like a captain on the pitch with the way that he was playing on the pitch. Because I do remember at that time Tav was in one of those kind of purple patches that he can have, and he was kind of flying. But it was interesting what he said is that now he's like a changed man, and how important he is off the pitch as well now. That he's kind of what he was getting at, I kind of think, is that how he's grown into this leadership. And I know it's a maybe slightly contentious kind of opinion, but how him being our captain, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think he was saying that he set the standards. He sets the standards within the club, within the dressing room, which is important. As I say, I think a captain of Rangers, whether you agree he should be the captain or not, I've said this since the start. I don't mind James Tavernier being the captain, but I don't think he achieves anything by taking the captain's armband off him. I generally don't think it achieves anything. He's highly regarded within the football club, and at the end of the day, he's been vital for us this season. Okay, we've not won anything, we've not given him any silverware, but in terms of his numbers, you can't really argue against him. You really can't. He's still a major part of the way that this team plays football. So, I fully expect Tav to stick around. The FFS Tav Brigade are going to be pretty furious about that, I would imagine, that he's going to be around. But I expect him to play every game next season, same as what Ali said. I don't expect to see him going anywhere. And I think bringing in competition for his position, that boy Sterling, he can play right back as well, right back, centre back as well. I think that lad plays. So it gives a bit of competition for Tav, and maybe Divine's not been giving him that there's somebody championing his heels, because when Patterson was there, Tav was great, because he knew if I'm not great, Patterson will take my place because of the noise around Patterson as well at the time. But 400 appearances, mate, for this club, it can't really be underestimated how a magnificent milestone that is for James Tavernier. And I think there's many more to come.
Yep. So that was the press conference leading into the game against Hibs. It's a 12:30 kickoff on Sunday. I've not even looked. 12. Is it a 12 kickoff on Sunday? Thank you, Alistair. 12, yeah. That means I'll need to get an early train up to Glasgow then. But yeah, playing Hibs away at Easter Road. Hibs currently sitting 5th in the Premiership, with still with a chance of getting one of those European spaces. They drew with Aberdeen last week. I think they beat Hearts the week before, potentially, I think. And yeah, we've played them 3 times now this season. 2 pretty convincing, one very convincing one, the 4-1 most recently. then 3-2 earlier on in the season, and then obviously that 2-each game where I think that was the beginning, the end of our title challenge, and if we're all being honest, when that happened. But Ali, what are your thoughts on Hibs and the upcoming game?
Hibs have got something to play for, as do Hearts on Wednesday when we play them. So we're playing teams that have something to play for. Maybe not St Mirren the last game, but they'll be up for it. Hibs always are at Easter Road. It's the third time we go to Easter Road this season. I know Beale alluded to that in his press conference in terms of this split and how it's kind of basically said it's not fair that we need to go there 3 times, but it's the way that split works. It's somebody's going to always have to do one game that they probably shouldn't have to do. But yeah, Scotia, Hibs unbeaten in 4. They're a funny team, Hibs. They seem to do, they go through a purple patch and then they sort of fall away for a few games. But they're usually up for it against us. The last game we did play against them, I watched it with Carney, and Rangers were fantastic. Cholak scored those games, I think, was it? I'm trying to think. Or was it the Hearts game? I'm trying to remember. But no, they were brilliant that game, Rangers. So yeah, it'll be a tough game, but yeah, like I said for last week, Scotia, these players that are in the team at the moment, they're playing for their futures next season. I'm talking about guys that are contracted, your Matondos and Yilmazes and players like that. They're playing to try and get in that first team with Rangers next season, because they all know there's a lot of players coming in the summer. So it's up to them to show something in the last 3 games that they deserve to be at Rangers going forward.
Yeah, indeed. Carney, your thoughts on Hibs?
Yeah, as I say, they've got, I mean, there's an outside chance that either Hearts or Hibs can catch Aberdeen to finish third. I think there's 5 points between Hearts and Aberdeen, 6 between Hibs and Aberdeen, but it's very, very close for 4th. And I wouldn't completely write off St Mirren either, to be honest, Ali. I think, I mean, if everything goes wrong for Hearts and Hibs, St Mirren could end up finishing 4th, which would be a pretty great achievement for St Mirren, considering where they've finished over the past few years. So, interesting going forward. They say they've got something to play for. We are very, very safely second. Very, very safely second. So, no, it's more about the pressure's off to that regard, but I don't think, as Ali said, I don't think the pressure's completely off the players, that their future hasn't been decided yet within the club, and it's up to them now to prove something. We have spoke about it now that there's numerous within the team that aren't taking that chance, and I'm not going to say who, but you will know yourselves who I'm talking about, because I always get put up for being a Matondo basher, and I don't want to be like that. But there is certain players that haven't took their opportunity, and with strong rumours now that Scott Wright he's heavily linked with Bristol City, then there's opportunities for these players to prove themselves. It'd be interesting to know if the conversations happened already with some players, whether they've been told they're leaving or not. I would imagine it may be happening after Sunday, maybe Monday into Tuesday, something like that. But yeah, it's really up to the ones that have been on the fringes now to take that opportunity and make the gaffer, make the fans take notice.
Yeah, indeed. We'll stick with you then, Carney, and you can give us your team and score prediction. And remember that Beale did say in his press conference that there's probably only 16 players to work with, and he did say that injured players players that have been injured need a chance. Yeah,
so obviously I would have played Lovelace, but obviously he's away on international duty. I'd quite like to see Rice as well, but he's away on international duty, because they were pretty impressive in the Glasgow Cup final, even though they lost. I thought the second half in particular they were good. My team, my goodness, man. Who's centre-backs we get fit? King and Suter, is that it?
Yeah.
You could throw Lundstrom in there if you want.
You could. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you could. So, McCrory, Tavernier, King, Suter, Yilmaz. Is Jack fit?
Yeah.
Jack, Raskin, Cantwell. Oh, my goodness, I hate this, but Lowry, Hadji, and Morelos, maybe?
I don't know. Carney.
I don't know. Well,
Morelos isn't here anymore.
Who else are you going to play? Sakala? No. Mate, honestly, I'm sick of him. I'm sick of him. I'd imagine it will be Sakala. But I think I would give Lowry a chance over Matondo anyway, because when I say Matondo hasn't really took his opportunity. So something along the lines of that, mate. I don't know. It's a difficult one to call this, but I'll go for 2-1 to Rangers, and for I don't know, Ryan Jack to score first.
Right. So you're not definite in who you're picking, Sakala or Morelos? No.
It'll be Sakala, but I would rather. I know Morelos isn't technically here anymore. He's kind of shipped out. But I think Bale made the point with him at the old firm. So I wouldn't be shocked if Morelos started. Again, it doesn't really mean very much this game going forward. And I'm sick of watching Sakala. I'm not going to lie. Okay, he scored against Celtic. I know, I get that. Yes, but he nearly didn't. So I'm just sick of seeing him. So yeah, Morelos, but no, I think it'll probably be Sakala. 2-1. Ryan Jack to score a screamer.
Right. Well, my team's exactly the same as yours, but I'm saying it's Sakala up front. I think he'll go with Sakala. So, yeah, I'm going with that. So, McCrory, Tav, Suter, King, Yilmaz, Jack, Raskin, and then Lowry, Hadji, and Cantwell with Sakala. I'm going 2-0 and Cantwell to score first. Ali, any difference?
Yeah, mine's a bit different from you two guys. McCrory, same back four, Tav, King, Suter, Yilmaz, Raskin, Lundstrom, Ryan Jack, Cantwell, the man face Amber, and I says we need to give him all the games end of the season. I'm sticking with it, even though he has not impressed me at all. Matondo, I still think we need to stick with him. The reason I was humming and hawing about Hadji Scotia, Easter Road, you know what it's like, it can be quite frantic. Yeah. Easter Road, I wouldn't put Hadji in there because I think it would pass him by. Hadji against Hearts on Wednesday, yes, I can see that. And also, I think Morelos may get the final 5 minutes against Hearts on Wednesday as a farewell. I think he could do that. My scoreline is, I think Hibs will score. 3-1 Rangers, Matondo first goal scorer.
Okay, right. Aye, very good. Yeah, so that'll just about do us, but in something a wee bit different, actually. There's another massive game at the weekend after the men's team play in the morning. The women's team are playing over at Ibrox. It looks like there's been 10,000 tickets, or over 10,000 tickets sold for that now. They're playing Glasgow City at Ibrox in what is a three-way shootout for the league title, the women's league title. Obviously, Rangers sitting second at the moment, sort of joint second, one better than goal difference with above Celtic. But if they beat Glasgow City, it confirms them a Champions League place. So all the best to the women. Carney, any thoughts on that?
No, it's fantastic, mate. Justin Muir, as always, Ali, do you want to do it?
God bless America.
Thank you. Fantastic, Justin, mate. Really do appreciate it. Yeah, I think it's great how many tickets are sold for it, mate. I think that's brilliant as well. I think it's really, really good.
They're on for a record crowd.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It really is. That's absolutely great. When's it? Is it Sunday? The kick was it Sunday? You
10
said
past 4. I think it's
10
past 4 on Sunday.
4, yeah.
Edmondson House is open as well for the Hibs game, and it's staying open.
Are you going?
I don't know. If you're a season ticket holder, it's £1 to go.
£1, yeah.
It's £1.
Kids are free, aren't they? Kids get
which
free.
I think is brilliant. But Rangers, I know Celtic had a record crowd against was it Glasgow City they were playing?
It was, yeah.
At Parkhead. So I think we're on course. I think we've beaten it already with the fans that are going. So there's Jim Slow, not far behind as always, Jim. Honestly,
thank you, Jim.
Jim.
Justin Muir. I'm away to see Justin Muir in Texas in the summer. I'm going to visit him. No, fantastic crowd for the women's football. I mean, I know a lot of us guys kind of go with women's football. We're not overly interested in it, but they're pulling on the Rangers top, so it's good that there's a big crowd to get behind them, and hopefully they'll go even further than the 10,000 barrier they've got, because it's the full of the Sandy Jardin so far that's open.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so wishing the women's team all the best, and as I say, a victory, at least as a minimum, ensures ensures Champions League football for them next season. But hopefully, if the results go our way, if we manage to score a few difficult tasks against a team of the quality of Glasgow City, and if Celtic get held a wee bit back by Hearts, who knows, we could then be the women's champions for a second season in a row. But yeah, that'll do everyone for tonight. Thank you once again to all the listeners. Thank you everyone who donated, and thank you also to my guests. Firstly, Ali Pearson, thank you.
No problem. Thanks for hosting the Hibs, Scotia. You were that was very good from you tonight. By the way, it was very polished. You weren't nervous tonight at all, but you were very polished. You done the manscape brilliantly, a lot better than I did last week. I'll need to show more enthusiasm going forward on that one. But no, well done, Scotia, and I'll see you on Sunday.
Cheers, see you on Sunday, and thank you once again, Mr. Carney.
Yeah, cheers, man. You weren't nervous at all tonight, Scotia. Very proud of you, mate. Very, very proud of you. Manscaped promo done like an absolute pro as well. So, no, yeah, look forward to Sunday now, see what team we put out, and yeah, we'll kind of take it from there. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Thank you, all the donations as well. It's absolutely fantastic. If you're going to the girls' game on Sunday, enjoy yourself, but obviously watch the men's team first to hopefully beat Hibs. It's always nice to beat Hibs. But no, cheers everybody.
Yeah, cheers, as Carney says. Yeah, and once again, if we would just like to ask that if you enjoyed this podcast, then please like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends, because we are generally with you 3 times a week in your ear holes with inane talk about Rangers. Thank you very much, everyone, and see you next time.